Hey doctors, Dr. Rader here. Hey, I want to go over my five different areas that you would bonus in inside of a chiropractic practice, whether it could be dental, it could be medical, what have you. There were five key areas that I use to bonus through. I know everyone has their own method. This is just my method. This is just how my philosophy on bonusing and what worked for me. You may have something that works really well for you. I'll give you a few things that I feel strongly about and not. One of the things I feel relatively strongly about is setting up some sort of a bonus system that is like a long term structure, right? Like say for instance, it's like we set a bonus based on collections, and it's a percentage, and sometimes that ends up being a large percentage as the practice grows, and it doesn't, after a while it's almost like it's part of that person's paycheck, right? And everyone kind of forgets about it, but yet it becomes something that the doctor can't necessarily leverage to increase weak areas inside the practice. So it actually sometimes becomes a liability and a burden to the doctor, and he is not able, because he's already paying this pretty substantial, uh, basically just a given every month bonus, and he's not able to add any other layers of bonuses on top of it. So I don't believe necessarily in doing those long-term bonuses, and it locks doctors in. The staff gets comfortable with that, and then that's just like almost like part of their paycheck. So it's hard to take that away at some point and do into some other type of bonus system, right? And so I recommend bonusing in five different areas inside your practice, and I'm a firm believer in bonusing up weak areas in the practice. So as you're growing your practice, where your practice is starting, say you're collecting 10, 15, 20,000 a month in maybe a single doctor practice, the bonus structure may be a little different then than what it might be down the road when you're doing 50, 60, maybe up to 100K or more, right? And so as your practice evolves, you want to have flexibility in order to grow the practice, right? And to help your staff become successful at what they're doing and to continue to train, but yet reward them for a job well done. So there's five areas that I would recommend bonusing in, okay? And these are just mine. It worked for me, but here we are. The first one would be monthly, okay? A monthly bonus. So set a monthly goal. You look at your yearly goals, but then you break those down into monthly goals. But say your monthly goal, let's just put a number here. Let's just say your monthly goal is 60K, right? Okay, 60K is our monthly goal. And so if we hit that goal, we'd bonus them, and I'll let you decide which would be an appropriate bonus. It could be $600 if you have one or two employees. You have multiple employees, it gets a little more dicey, right? And so you have to determine who your key players are in participating in that bonus. And not every bonus I go over is something that every staff person is going to be partaking in. It's the key players that influence these numbers, right? The second one would be weekly. And you can do all of these at once. You could do one or two of these a month. So it's up to you. So our weekly goal would be 15K. Okay? So it's nice to know what your daily goals are, but it gets a little bit stressful when you start really focusing on the daily goals. I would focus more on the weekly goals because there's always going to be 2 to 3 strong days a week out of a 4-day work week, and there's going to be 1 to 2 the weaker days, right? And so I focus on the bigger goal. So, and weekly goals help you keep track of your monthly goals. So if your weekly goals, you find yourself a little, 2 weeks in, and you got a 60K goal, but you've only collected 15K. There's some things you got to look at your marketing, you got to look at your spend, you got to look at what you're doing, any internal promotions, anything that that's going to help leverage that to get you to your goal. So weekly goals, some sort of a weekly goal, and you can do a monthly goal as well. Okay. Number 3 is phones. Okay. If you're a marketer practice, you're a highly marketer practice. Maybe you're doing a lot of pay-per-click marketing. Phones are going to be very important, as you know. So you have to be able to get conversion on the phone. You've got to be able to get from the number of calls or leads that you're tracking. I call them opportunities. You've got to be able to get schedules schedules and shows, right? Then it's up to the doctor once you get them in the office, as long as you're providing a good experience, to get them converted if they're a good candidate for your care. Phones are huge. You know, create a baseline for the number of new patient phone calls you're getting, and then bonus your staff based on the number of schedules and shows they're getting and those percentages. You know, be a little bit creative. I used to have my phones always answered during the week, right? Monday through Friday, usually from 8 to 5 or so. And I've tried outside companies to answer phones. It never really worked out that well. But phones, I bonused my staff over lunch hours, taking the phones with them. So my staff always had the phone on work days with them over lunch. And we booked a lot of new patient phone calls over lunch. And we seen them then right away that afternoon. And we also on Fridays when we were out of the office, we had the phones. One of my staff folks always had the phone with them with the schedule, and they would book calls on Fridays, and then I would bonus them for a percentage on the schedule. If they got a schedule, I'd bonus them, and if they got it in show, then I would give them a slightly higher bonus. Number 4 would be any maintenance or pre-pay plans that they got. So these are areas, this is how I leveraged my months, right? My years. I would have weak areas, right? Maybe my weak area this month was my phones. I'm sucking wind. And so the next month I'm going to be bonusing up on phones, and I'm going to help create some more leverage over here to get this handled. What if one month my maintenance plans, I find out the one month before I had like one maintenance plan when my goal is in a typical month I would be having 8 or 9 of these things, right? So I'm like, wow, what's going on here? We put more focus on this. Maybe it's necessary to bonus this thing and get these numbers back up to where they need to be. This is how you can shore up all these weak areas. When you're marketing, you find holes. When you have holes and you plug them, you look for creative ways to plug the holes. Don't just give some long-term bonus system that's basically like profit sharing for your staff, and they get dependent on that and they get used to it, and it's hard to ever take that away and to do something different. And it's hard to sometimes for the doctor financially to layer 1 or 2 or 3 different bonus structures into their system when they've got long-term bonus plans that are like paychecks. Okay? The last one would be like internal promotions. All right? So anybody, you're doing internal promotion, the staff's getting new people started, they're getting, you have a goal of how many, you say you want to have 10 starts off your internal promotion that month or what have you, and the staff is playing a key role in getting those referrals and getting those people started at the front desk, and so they're helping leverage that for you. You can bonus on that. There's others. These are, obviously these are the big ones, right? Especially these top 3. Okay, so I hope this helps. I hope it kind of gives you some inside perspective and clarity on how this is how I did it. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you too. I hope it does. So anyhow, hope you well.